Hey, how are you? I am about to go live with Linda Emmett for my first Friday live with Sobriety Stories. So bear with me while I invite her. Hello, Jacqueline and Tracy. How are you? Nice to see you on this Friday morning. So yes, this is the first kind of foray into lives for me. I've done a couple of lives, but none talking to another person. So basically, this is Sobriety Stories. So the Friday five live, and what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about alcohol and being alcohol free. And it's something that I haven't really talked about because I am over 17 months alcohol free. And I suppose I never wanted that experience to define me, who I am, or what I'm doing. But I've kind of gotten easier um, with it. And I suppose I had to get used to it. And I still find it very difficult to navigate social situations. But
Good
good.
morning.
Hi. Okay, I was just wrapping it on there, kind of doing a little introduction. So, everybody, we've got two Lindas on the line this morning. So, Linda, if anybody has ever seen those clips. I've introduced myself. I'm Linda Monaghan. I own Corporate Cam, and these are Sobriety Stories. And I'm just saying to everybody that I'm 17 months sober and still kind of navigating my way through it. And I've just been joined by the lovely Linda Emmett from Your Gift to You. Go for it, Linda. You please introduce yourself and tell us all about you before we
Sure.
get into the good stuff.
Yeah, cool stuff. My name, as Linda says, Linda Emmett. My business is Your Gift to You. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and a neuroscience coach. I combine a number of modalities, and I work with stress, anxiety, and addictions. The reason I work with those particular things, stress, anxiety, and addictions, is one, because I believe that they're all interconnected. Anxiety and stress leads to us becoming addicted to things because we try and numb out the anxiety and stress, and or the addiction drives anxiety and stress. It's a vicious circle, a hamster wheel that we're on. So I really am passionate about those particular modalities, or those particular things, because I struggled for years myself with my own mental health issues, my own struggles with addiction, anxiety, stress. So I would have began my own healing journey about 13, 14 years ago now.
Oh, that long.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I would have been in the depths of it with anxiety at the time. I actually thought I was going to have to give up working. It was so bad. Looking back, I can tell you now, it was grief that brought on a lot of it, and a lot of stuff I've been stuffing down for
Yeah.
decades, not even months, decades. And the last couple of griefs where I just couldn't stuff it down anymore. My system had
Yeah.
no more space. So it came out in anxiety. But prior to that, I struggled with eating disorders, self-harm, you name it. And for me, it all comes back to trauma and low self-worth. And I think it's the same for most of us. We never learn how to manage that pain or those emotions or what to do with it. So we learn to stuff it down, run away from it, or escape from it. And that's where then we see our addictive behaviors, and our anxiety and our stress. Like, do you know what I mean? So that's a
And
tiny bit about
but
me.
and I mean, we've had so many discussions. Linda has talked about a certain, but Linda, you want to help everybody essentially. Like
Oh,
that's the
heal
thing. It's
the
like it,
world.
and that's that it's so hard to kind of do that. So I mean, if you are suffering with anxiety, with stress, with any mental health, like look at Linda's page. It's absolutely brilliant, and contact her website as well. We'll put all the details down there. The biggest thing is you say that you're 13, 14 years on this journey, but actually you only kind of negotiated your relationship with alcohol the past 4 or 5 years,
Oh
really,
yeah,
wasn't it? And isn't that
absolutely.
amazing that you're on this healing journey and you don't kind of go, okay, maybe that's something to do with it
Not
as
at
well?
all. It was my dad. Like, that was my friend in the fridge that helped me cope with the
I love,
anxiety. I
love
thought
that,
at
my
the
friend
time,
in the fridge.
yeah, because I go to that quicker than I go to my friends. I was buried in shame, so I didn't really want to talk about, like, to the outside world, I looked, you know, super successful, a high achiever. I was out there. My life looked great, and a lot of aspects, like 100%, there was happiness, a beautiful daughter, different things like that. It was the internal world I was massively struggling with. And the alcohol was absolutely, for me at the time, a lovely escape from that, a place I could go where I could daydream, numb out, escape, all of those things. And so when I really struggled with the anxiety, I actually drank more, because one of the things I massively struggled with was sleep. So I thought alcohol would help me sleep. So I drink to try and sleep through the anxiety. It was a huge cycle. So it was only about 4.5 years ago, Christmas 4.5 years ago, I decided, at first I said I wanted to give it up for 100 days. I knew at this point my relationship with alcohol wasn't as bad, as in it, you know, I was opening up a huge amount more. I was on my own learning journey, but there was always like 99% of the time I'd have a few drinks, I'd be grand. But it was that, still there was that one hitting that effort button every so often that I just like that it was my space and place where I'd get out of control, where I'd be destructive. I drink way beyond what I knew I could, and then I beat myself up with a stick afterwards. Do you know what I mean? So I knew my relationship where it was still quite toxic. It was something I was always in a battle with. I was always going, you know, oh, I'll have one or two, and then when I had four, I'd be battering myself. And then when I first actually gave up drinking, I've said this to you, I felt like such a failure. Like, people think, you know, you're enlightened and, you know, your whole world changes straight away. No, I really believed I failed as a normal drinker, that I couldn't be a normal drinker like everybody else. I failed. And when I look back on that now, because especially in the Irish culture, that's what we're rare to believe. I mean, like, you'd see people, you know, regularly fall home from the pub, and you know, he likes his drink, and you're going, he's pouring down his cornflakes. I think he more than likes his drink. But alcoholism was very much steeped in our culture and accepted, and everybody's version of a normal drinker is different, depending on how you grew up. To me, like, and to most of us, all we seen growing up was binge drinking, be it in our surroundings or in the pubs. The Irish aren't so much, or weren't anyway, the one or two drinkers. We were very much binge or session drinkers. So I know for me and a lot of my friends growing up, that's how you learn to drink. You know, you kind of binged. So when I failed at drinking normally, I as I say, I felt like an epic failure. It wasn't. It was something at the start I said I'd do for 100 days. I'd give up and then rebuild my relationship with it, so I could have a good relationship with it. But now,
and you know what's so funny as well is that you were like that you failed as a drinker, and I just think that's really I not that it's funny, it's just that it's so common, because I actually spoke to a friend of mine about last year, and her mum is an alcoholic, and she was in treatment, and she is off drink years. Like, she is probably 25 years sober, and she would still say to her daughter that why can't I just have one or two or three, and still look at her relationship and feel like, you know, why can't that person, this woman's kind of in her 60s, 70s now, and why can that person do that, and why can't I do that? Do you know? And it's like, and for me, it's like, you weren't, it got to the stage where I think so many people are doing this journey now, and it's like, I'm not an alcoholic though, but I'm like, am I? Like, that's the thing. Like, it's really, you have to question all of these and get triggered by all of these things. It's like, am I? Because when you're making sure that there's a third bottle of wine in the fridge to
100%.
open.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's,
100%. Definitely
it's,
an issue.
and it's kind of like there's so many people that are like, yeah, but I don't have a problem. I can stop anytime I want to. And it's not really about stopping, it's about addressing the relationship and looking at why you're doing it. And
Yeah, it's not what you drink, it's
yeah,
why.
yeah,
It's why. And what I know for me 100%, two things. One, giving up was the greatest act of self-love I ever did for myself. It
that's really
really, really was.
beautiful. That's
No,
really
but
beautiful.
really, honest to God, it was the greatest act of self-love. But the reason for me now, down the road, that I know I still wouldn't drink is because I know I still haven't worked on some of the elements that are behind that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't sit and have a drink with you, Linda, tomorrow because I wanted to be social. I wanted to socially drink. I needed it. I would only have a drink or want to drink for the hit, for that buzz through your veins, that hit. And I still know to this day that's what I chase. That's what I'd want. That hit, that buzz, that ooh, that feeling and that escapism. And therefore I haven't fully worked on or in the background what it is that drives it in the first place. So I know if I was drinking, I'd be chasing a hit, and that's not real. It's not real.
and do you think there's ever a scenario where it's not just you, where other people can kind of go, okay, maybe I can readdress and have a look and take one drink or
Absolutely.
whatever? Would you really?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think like everything. I mean, like the likes of food, anything like that. We need to rebuild our relationships with it. It's like for me, I needed to rebuild my relationship with myself. I would go into destruct mode in so many different spaces in my life, and I treat myself horribly badly in so many different ways. Um, I had to rebuild my relationship with myself. And I think it's the same for the things we have in our life that we sometimes abuse: alcohol, food, all of these different, it's rebuilding the relationship. So I absolutely think that's possible. Do I think if I went out and had a drink now, I would sit there and get drunk or keep drinking? Possibly not, but the fear is still there.
yeah,
And the main reason, like, well, one of the reasons now, one, I'm much happier without it, but two, every time I think of drinking, I think of the version of me I was and the pain I was in. So the
yeah.
drink only triggers painful memories. No, I had many times in the younger years, I'd laughed with friends, I went away, different things like that. I did have, I suppose, some good memories with alcohol, but overall, they just remind me of all the things I did to myself, all the horrible ways I felt, the low self-worth, all of that. So every time I think of drinking, I'm just reminded of that rather than the good things. So for me, it's just I don't want them feelings as part of my life anymore. I
For,
don't have a
so
need or
for
a want for
anybody,
it.
yeah,
Right?
but for anybody kind of listening or watching, what would you say from your professional? So you've done this journey from yourself, but you've also looked at it from a professional perspective as well.
Mm-hmm.
And from, somebody that, you know, maybe doesn't have a reliance on it, but is kind of assessing, because that's what I get all of the time. I don't know about you out in social scenarios. I get the what the fuck is wrong
Oh,
with you kind of
oh,
thing,
yeah. Are you
but
broken?
I do get the
Yeah,
questions of
yeah.
how have you done that? I'm really thinking about my own relationship with alcohol, and not necessarily that going for that second or third bottle in the fridge, but just having a couple of week and kind of going, why am I doing
Mm.
this? What tools or techniques would you suggest for somebody who maybe has one bottle of wine a week or two or three beers a week, and they're like, why can't I just want to kind of stop this now and reduce decisions? Because for me, I think that giving up alcohol reduces so many decisions in your life.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
you're the one driving. You're the one that can get up at 7 next morning, 8 next morning for a class, and to meet somebody. you're the one that doesn't have to decide how much they're actually drinking, that way. But what would you
Yeah.
say for somebody, a tool or technique that would work, and kind of, maybe, is it, I did 50 days initially, you did 100. Is it a time limit, or?
For me, what I certainly do with clients, well, if I'm doing one-to-one or groups and things like that, the first thing you do is look at, as I say, it's not what you're drinking, it's the why, what's behind it. What do you think the gain is? Is it reward? Is it boredom? Is it your escape? Is it loneliness? It's what it's for? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or what you think it's for? What need is it you're filling? And when you find what need it is that you're filling, you know what you're lacking, and there's so many other real ways of filling that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on a practical level, yeah, if you want to have a look at your relationship with anything, it is stepping back. It is stepping back and looking at it. The challenges work extremely well. Either giving it up for a week, 2 weeks, it gives you clarity. Because if you're left, for example, say you give it up for a week, say, do you know what I mean? And come Friday night, when you normally drink, you're sitting on the same sofa but without the drink. You're allowing yourself the time and space to feel what it is that's actually driving you to get the drink. Do you know what I mean? That's driving you to the fridge or driving you to the shop. As I say, for me, it was a friend. I was lonely. Because I had a crap relationship with myself. So I had a relentless judge and inner critic going on. And for me, the alcohol had drowned some of that out. Do you know what I mean? A nicer person had arrived in my head for a while with a few beer goggles. I'm going, you're gorgeous. So that was some of what it was. It was escape, but it was escape from my own internal world. So certainly cutting it out, even for a bit of time, even for 1 to 2 nights that you'd normally drink, to see what the why is behind it. When you find the why, you find the gap, the void that we're trying to fill sometimes. And it's then filling that with real needs. Is it loneliness? Is it, is it boredom? Is it habit? For a lot of times, like it's our comfort zone. People who drink, who, wouldn't necessarily have a problem. It's comfort. It's putting on your PJs, throwing a blanket around you, knocking on, I was going to say Game of Thrones, that's a bit old, but knocking on something on the telly, and then opening the glass of wine or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? For some people it is, and you work a lot with habits. It's just a habit, and subconsciously, if you're in the same environment every Friday, the same cues, the same habits are triggered. If you want to change anything, one of the things I learned is change the environment you're in. Don't thwart yourself by sitting there on a Friday night on the same sofa with the same blanket, wanting to break a habit of binge drinking, because you're surrounded by all the cues and all the reasons that you're drinking in the first place. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like that makes so much sense. I think like we talked about, I mean, the benefits, and you do have to, I think for me it's literally like, it's not like that anymore, but it's more like that. So you're not up here, that way, because you have to face what you were maybe running away from, or you have to kind of
100%.
And it's nice not to be down there, if that makes sense as well. So you're not, I wouldn't even say you're in the middle, because that's probably giving it a little bit, over egging it a little bit. You're probably dead, that way. But it's very non-eventful, if that makes sense. It's just, you have to seek other ways to kind of socialize. And it's kind of, we're talking about tools and techniques, but actually some of the drawbacks, and one of the biggest drawbacks, and that I never really thought about when I was doing it, was other people. It's like and it's like, you have to learn to, you know, as doing what we do and everything like that, a whole huge part of it is like letting go of what other people think of you, of being that people pleaser, of, you know, it's so important to move away from that, and this whole journey helps. But other people's reaction, because they don't realize that you're the center stage of your story and your play and your life, and you're doing this for you. But all they see is that, oh, now I've got a big shiny mirror, and I'm putting a
Yeah.
big shiny mirror on your behavior, which that had nothing. And we talked about this. That had you don't factor
Nothing
in
to
my
do with it.
journey. Do you know
Yeah.
that way? My not drinking alcohol has absolutely nothing to do with you, and I don't give a shit what you drink. But other people, oh my God,
A
I'd love to
hundred
hear if you
percent.
have any.
Yeah, and I think it's a space we massively judge ourselves in. Like, as we've said, you know, I gave up smoking. People said, geez, fair play to you, that's amazing. I gave up vaping there a few weeks ago. And
Well,
people are saying,
that's amazing. Well
amazing, well
done.
done. When I gave up drinking, people went, oh, why? Were you very bad? Yeah, tell us. You know, you got a lot of that. Or you know, were you on antibiotics? Are you pregnant? Were you know, serious problems? You know, were you pouring it on your cornflakes? As I said, it's because we because people judge themselves a huge amount around alcohol, because we all kind of want to be a normal drinker, but to everyone a normal drinker is different. Like, I might say to someone, like, when I drank, you know, oh, I had a few at home, say a few gins at home, and someone might go, oh, I'd never drink at home, no, I'd only drink when I go out. And you're then judging in your head, oh, what does that make me? Oh, because there's no normal drinker. So everybody's judging themselves by different bars. So it really is a judgy space. And
Yeah.
I found when I went out, people would ask me in the first, I suppose, year, or 4 6 months even, maybe, people would ask me a lot of questions around. Fine, people are
Yeah.
curious, they want to know more. But it was because I was still judging myself. That was the bigger problem, because I hadn't got over the failed as a normal drinker.
Yeah.
I felt like a failure, so I didn't like the questions. I didn't want the
Yeah.
questions, because I was for a long time buried in shame, and the fact that I drank as much, because I looked such a high achiever, so successful to the outside world. I was very, if people knew what was really going on, so I was buried in shame. Do you know what I mean? And I felt completely out of control with alcohol, because I'd say to myself, right, I'm going to have two. Guaranteed I'd have double that. I'd have four, I'd have five. As I say, I'd get up, I'd be beating myself up, because my reason for drinking was effect. And that's why I drank. And I think for like a number of people that drink, we're drinking to get a feeling. We're chasing a
Yeah.
feeling with it. Do you know what I mean? And by the time by the time we start feeling that feeling, by the time we say to ourselves, I'm tipsy, effectively our body is already drunk. Our
Yeah.
brain just hasn't caught up with it yet. Do you know
And
what I
it's
mean?
and I love the way you talk about that, about chasing
Oh,
a feeling, because
oh yeah.
for me, it's the negotiation in my head. Like, because I've been to, like, I haven't been to weddings in years, and in the last year I've been to 3 weddings that obviously I haven't drank at, and it's this whole, and Irish weddings as well, and it's this whole kind of, oh, going in, and you know, I didn't know somebody in one of them and everything like that, and it's like, oh my God, what am I doing? But it's actually having a conversation with yourself beforehand and being so kind and going, do you know what, you're actually, as you said, you're only missing that 3 to 4 drink
Mm,
where you spike, you get that feeling, and it's like
mm,
woohoo, and then your brain hasn't caught up with your body, as you say, so you
yeah.
think you're grand and you keep going and everything like that, and like all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is exit. And that's what the conversation I have with me, the conversation with me is like, it's going to be good for the first 2 hours, and then at 12 o'clock when you're dancing sober on the dance floor, you'll realize why
Yeah.
you didn't drink today.
Yeah. And
and and
that's the difference.
and it's not judgment to anybody around, but at 12 o'clock I am able to, you know, I probably got the nod from your man before already to leave anyway, because he'd be like, you know, not the social butterfly I am, but I'd have the car keys and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
So, you know, if it's a local wedding, we haven't had to pay for a hotel. We're able to go into our own bed, and
Yeah.
I can drive home. And it's like, that's when it kind of goes, okay, that's when it makes sense as well, you know?
100%. And like, it like in so many ways, on an emotional level, like as I say, where, you know, I was chasing a feeling where, and I had to go back and look at what some of those feelings I was chasing were, what I was trying to get from drinking. And a huge, like, when I gave up, and we've said this, Linda, you expect, you know, this oracle to appear, and you know, life has changed. You lose weight, you look fab, you're rocking around zen as F. But no, you're actually left with the reasons that you drank and the emotions that came with it, and you have to walk through that. So a huge part of what it has done for me is I've had to go in, look at and open up to my own internal world and what was going on there, why I was drinking, what the habits and patterns were, what the emotions were, what the shame around drink, and all of the shame I had, all of those things. Was it, you know, all sunshine and lollipops? Absolutely not. But I've learned so much about me. I've learned now, I go into, and we go to events, Linda, I'll go into an event now, I rock solid 100% can go, I don't need it.
Yeah.
I absolutely don't. I used to, before I went out anywhere, I'd have 2 or 3 before I went out. Dutch courage. Do you know what I mean? So I was never even shown up as me. I'd shown up as tipsy me. Yeah. Now I 100% show up as myself. I'm confident when I go into a room as myself. I trust myself. I trust that I'm not going to, there is no destruct button that I'm going to hit. And it's built a lot for me. I care about myself a lot more now. Do you know what I mean? Those things, I make different choices. Was it miraculous? Absolutely not. Did I have to do the internal work? 100%. Were there times I was going, you know, God, I wonder if I had one, what it'd be like. But I know, like, even to this day, I hear of people going, would you not have 1 or 2, or I only ever have 1 or 2. Still in my head goes, what's the point?
Yeah.
That's still my thing. That's how
and that's,
I think.
And I mean, that's a huge red light, or red flag, isn't it? It's like, what's the point of 1? It's like, and
I still don't see the point. So for me, I'd rather not. Because I know still to this day, I'm not a 1 or 2. I don't see the sense in it. I don't get it. Why bother? So, you know.
And from your professional stance as well, like, and I have done this, and I'm you know, and still working through it as well. And it's, have you seen where, okay, I know I have seen it because I've done it, where I've transferred probably that want for alcohol definitely into sugar and sweet things and everything. And then I see other people who have transferred it into fitness.
Yeah. And I got into running massively when I gave up alcohol, to be honest. Like, and I used to, like, the first mile I ran was pure rage.
Yeah.
I didn't know I had that level of anger inside me, but these were some of the emotions that I had to, that I've been pushing down, suppressing, running away from, all of those things. And they started naturally coming up. But I had the opportunity to release them, to let them go. A lot of, I work with quite a bit of addiction. And addiction, you know, it's a split self. Do you know what I mean? And it stems, as we say, from trauma and low self-worth. But a lot of the feeling that we're chasing, the addicts are chasing, is a feeling of calm, a feeling of peace, a feeling that they never get in your own internal world, because you've the relentless inner critic, you're in conflict, you know, you don't like yourself. There's never that feeling of peace and calm. And that's what for me, a lot of when we're caught in addiction, a lot of what we're chasing particular feelings. We're chasing the more positive feelings. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I first started out, when I gave up, it certainly wasn't the positive feelings that arrived first. It was the more negative ones. As they say, the level of rage when I was out running. But it was a great outlet for me. It was like a new space that I actually got to let out some of my emotions. I got to be angry, I got to cry, I got to roar, I got to pant, I got to breathe, all of those things. And since then, I've just expanded into far more. I do a fair amount of meditation now. As you know, I'm a hypnotherapist, so I'd use that even on myself quite a bit. But it's given me the time and the space to open my mind to a lot of more positive ways of managing your emotions, dealing with your trauma, releasing all your feelings, and just standing in your own power, being who you were born to be, and not who you think the world should see, or who you think you should be, or any of that.
And that's it. There's a lot of unmasking as well. And there's a lot of, there's a lot of, so kind of like, I suppose for me, what worked was putting a bit of a time frame on it. And actually, I think I put a time frame on it for some other people, because they thought I was doing, maybe a challenge or a 50-day thing, and they were a little bit more okay with me giving up alcohol, because I got told that I was going to ruin a weekend away because I wasn't drinking when I first gave up. And I was like, oh my God, imagine, because I didn't go through, I didn't do a program, or I didn't do treatment or anything like that. I did it myself. And it's probably, that's not a good thing either, because that's the whole, I can save myself as well. And, that's not the, asking for help. But it's really that, I did that for other people, which is so silly as well. You know what I mean? It's so silly that you didn't
lose people, though. I did the same. Like, I
Yeah.
started off with 100 days, and I was so afraid. Like, my environment, my social environment and friendships and stuff were so steeped in pub culture and going out and all of that stuff. I was terrified that I'd lose friends, family. I wouldn't see them as much. They'd drift away because I wasn't drinking. And that's reality. It's like, there are a few people that have drifted out of my life. There's more that have, thank God, come in and stuff like that. So it's reality. It is irrational enough fear that we'll lose people. Do you know what I mean? Or we won't connect to them as much, or we won't be able to bond over a gin or whatever it is. All of those fears come up, like, and that's normal and natural, like. Do you know what I mean? But people don't love a particular version of you, the drink you or the drunk you, because we tell ourselves that's when we're fun, or I'm real fun when I have a few drinks, or I'm great crack when I have a few drinks, or do you know what I mean? I let loose, or I dance, or I sing when I have a few drinks. But all that's in you anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
All of that is all in there anyway. And if people are walking away from you because you're not getting bojangled down in the local with them anymore, or wherever, well, then they're not your peeps. They were using you for a reason, not because of who you are. And that means to them you could be anybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And what would you say to somebody that is kind of in that grey area now, and kind of, will I, won't I? What encouragement could you give to them without judgment? I suppose, encouragement.
There's no judgment. Jesus, who are any of us to judge?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? We're all trying to, we've all sets of coping mechanisms and protective mechanisms, beliefs and behaviours, and we're just trying to manage ourselves in a world with them, and try and, do you know what I mean? Live to the best version of ourselves. If you're thinking that giving up or taking a break from alcohol is something you want to do, connecting with yourself or Linda for support. 100%, you're more than welcome. I'm certainly starting up a few events that involves. There'll be more on that to come. Build some structure for yourself and go by your own rules. Build some habits. If you're given anything up, including alcohol, when we give something up, we naturally look for something to fill that space, to fill that void. That alcohol was doing something to us. It was serving a purpose, rightly or wrongly. So have something else to do within that time or space where you used to drink. Try not to be in the same environment on the same evenings at the same time. Try and have something else built in. Set yourself some structure around it and build on your successes. Say to yourself every day or every week that you make it, have another reward. Look for more positive rewards. And get out, connect, be around people. You'd be surprised when I first did this and got out and got chatting about it, when I got over at me own shame spiral, you learn how many people are struggling. It's very, very natural and normal, and it's only through talking about it and going, yeah, I was there, or that was me, or yeah, you know, I struggled with whatever, anxiety, alcohol, any of these things. When you're talking openly, you actually connect and bond with more people, because they go, really? I was there. I felt that.
And so many people have done it as well. Like, that's the thing. There's so many people within even our own kind of circles that have made this journey, and it's been the best thing for them and for their life and for their professional life as well. Like, that's the other side of the coin as well, you know.
Like, I used to be like, just times when I look back now, and I just feel more sorry for, and a lot of compassion for that version of me. Like, do you know what I mean? That I'd wake up some mornings, like, it terrifies me now. I must have been more ballsy then. That, like, I wake up sometimes, do you know, the next day, and I might have cuts, I might have fallen, do you know what I mean? I'd probably be trying to, you know, if my daughter wasn't staying in her dad's, might be trying to hide it, but feeling so ashamed, so low. When I look back at that version of me, all I feel is a huge amount of sympathy and compassion now. I don't feel angry. I was doing the best I could to survive in the best way I knew how. And that's true of anybody who's struggling with alcohol. They're doing the best they can to survive. There is absolutely no shame in that. Absolutely no.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And it's holding on to and remembering that. And you know, nobody has the right to judge any of us. People that are judging you tend to be the ones that are judging themselves the hardest. Do you know what I mean?
That's all that is. It's the inner. It's 100% that you know, the light is being shone, and you know, that's not your intention by this journey. You know, this journey is for you and you alone. Like, you know, that
absolutely.
way. So,
and the supports are there, the people are there. If you want any, I might do it over the next couple. I've read, like you, Linda, read loads of books. Do you know what I mean? I work with it quite a bit if there's any tools, tips, but it's change the environment that you're in, build new habits in. If you're creating a vibe by removing one thing, put something else in, something more positive, something you want to do. Don't beat yourself up. It may not be perfect from the get-go. We're human. We make mistakes. We say to ourselves, oh, what if I just had one? There's all of that. Don't spiral because of it. Say, okay, learn from that. Won't make that mistake again. I'll try a different way, or I'll get back up and I'll try again. Do you know what I mean? And we all set our own terms for life. Set your own terms for giving up alcohol, or for reducing or moderating, whatever it is that you want to do. And be open about it. Own it. It's a brave choice. It's an empowering choice. So own it.
And
don't feel like me for the first year and now failed drinker.
But that's it. I love that. Own it, because as we've said, it's a choice for you. It's only going to improve your life, you know, and that's not coming from a sanctimonious place, or coming from a place. It's coming from a place where it's reality. Like, it's reality to have that clear mind every single morning. It's a gift, and I mean, that's, you know, it is your gift to you, and that's exactly what you're all about, like, you know, that way. So I'm going to wrap it up and say thank you so much, Linda. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Lovely.
And it was so enlightening, and just to remember that you're doing this for you. You're not doing it for anybody else, and just let others' judgment go, and let your judgment go. Do it without shame, without guilt, without anything. Just, you know, love yourself.
Do it. That's it. Yeah.
Thanks a million.
No problems at all. Okay, chat to you soon.
Bye.
Toodles, guys. Bye.